Good afternoon, everybody. This is a live emergency briefing as the main event, the second larger wave of the ice storm, is definitely organizing across northwestern Texas, moving into southern Oklahoma. A band of heavier precipitation is also heading toward the Oklahoma City metro. It does look like the heaviest precipitation is going to be toward the south metro, maybe a little bit to the southeast of the southeast side of the OKC metro, and a raging ice storm is taking shape across south central, southeastern Oklahoma and into north Texas, with icing all the way down to the Austin area expected as that Arctic front is moving a little bit faster than anticipated. The warm nose above the ground is a little bit more robust across central Oklahoma, as is often the case across Norman. That's why we usually get the sleet events when we expect snow to happen. Often we get freezing rain when we expect sleet to happen across central Oklahoma. I do think that this precipitation is going to mix with a lot of sleet, and then it is going to be a substantial amount of snow as well, probably about 1 to 3, maybe 2 to 4 inches across Oklahoma City, a little bit more over the southeastern metro possible. But the main problems are going to be the icing across southeastern Oklahoma. Those amounts could exceed 3/4 of an inch of ice southeastern Oklahoma into north Texas, that Gainesville, Ardmore area through Durant, Poto, Broken Bow, all the way up to the Fort Smith, Arkansas area is going to get racked. And then you've got further off to the east, eastern Arkansas and the Missouri River Valley through the Missouri Bootheel up into southern Indiana, northern Kentucky, also going to get impacted. It looks like the most significant icing is going to remain to the west and to the north of the Bowling Green to Nashville area. Memphis, though, looks like you're going to get hammered, ground zero by this ice storm, getting hit by both waves. And there definitely are two different waves right now with this storm system. The lead wave is definitely more robust. It got going a little bit to the northeast of Oklahoma. Did dump a little bit of freezing drizzle, though, across the Oklahoma City to Tulsa areas, definitely compacting complicating the morning commute. But that wave definitely grew as it moved off to the northeast, near St. Louis, up into central northern Illinois. Chicago has had quite a bit of an impactful snow event during the day today. Detroit, you're going to be impacted by both of this lead wave and the second wave. This is the second wave down here, and I call this the main event, especially relative to Oklahoma. But this system is organizing across northwestern Texas, moving towards southern Oklahoma and southeastern Oklahoma there as well. Test, test. And as you can see, I also just got my ears lowered, just got a haircut. Not the greatest haircut. I walked out of it and my hair was sticking straight up. Sides were really short, so I was a little bit alarmed initially. But then you start to get used to it. I usually get a haircut about once a year, so I don't get a haircut very often, that is for sure. And now I want to check out on the Oklahoma mesonet. Here are those temperatures and the dew points. Well below freezing across the Oklahoma City metro, 25 over 23. Wet bulb about 24 there. Norman 26 to 27 degrees. Warm nose just above the surface. Looks like that warm nose is going to hold initially. Probably that precipitation will begin as a period of sleet and then should change over to snow as we go through the overnight hours. Pure freezing rain, though, southern Oklahoma, southeastern Oklahoma into central Arkansas. That includes Fort Smith, Durant, back toward Gainesville, Ardmore areas. This detailed surface obs here are available from the Oklahoma Mesonet, mesonet.org. Great place to check out those surface obs. One of the first things I remember when I was checking out the University of Oklahoma was the Mesonet display that was in the bottom of Sarkey's Energy Center, and definitely an awesome sight to see. The Oklahoma Mesonet. Beautiful. There was a discussion of going for a national mesonet that was headed by Dr. Ken Crawford at the University of Oklahoma, but never could quite gain traction for the national mesonet. Let's look at some of the latest model data for the snow event for Oklahoma, and then we'll take a look at the radar that's happening now. This is the 3-kilometer NAM. Showing the precipitation primarily from the southern wave in Oklahoma, since the primary wave missed Oklahoma largely. But you can see several inches of snow, a 2 to 4, 3 to 4 inch type snowfall from northwest Texas through Oklahoma City, Probably will be a little bit lower than that across Oklahoma City because of that warm nose, and then some greater totals up near Tulsa, across the I-44 corridor into Missouri. That's the 12Z model run. Here's the HRRR showing greater totals just to the southeast of Oklahoma City. So it does look like right now, based on current trends and radar, that main event is organizing across northwestern Texas, moving across southern Oklahoma, and it does appear that the HRRR is picking up on that slight shift off to the southeast of that snowband. Wow, look at the HRRR dropping some double-digit snowfall totals across northwest Texas. I do think that the HRRR is having a little bit of a difficult time resolving the strength of that warm nose. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this snowfall is primarily in the form of ice. But then just to the southeast of that, down near DFW, southeastern Oklahoma, north central Texas, all of that is going to be pure ice accumulation, accretion. And it looks like the maximum ice is going to be northeastern Texas, just northeast of DFW. You don't want to focus too much on the exact amounts here, because basically an eighth to a quarter of an inch, just a glaze is enough to create big problems on those surfaces. But look at down into central Texas, even down near Austin and San Antonio. Definitely an impactful ice event all the way down into the Texas Hill Country, very close to the Rio Grande. You're going to get some icing. And then it looks like a bigger event as well. Eastern Arkansas, including Little Rock, up through the Missouri Bootheel, western Kentucky. It's possible that the recovering tornado damage path is going to have a layer of ice on it across the Missouri Bootheel, northeastern Arkansas into western Kentucky. Certainly could see that as well. So this is the HRRR showing you that ice accumulation that's going to be mainly just to the southeast of that snow. Let's take a look at the radar as it's happening right now as well. And I want to show you that main event that's organizing, moving out of northwestern Texas into southern Oklahoma, including southwestern Oklahoma. And we're going to look at some surface obs, some real soundings as well to diagnose the strength of that warm nose, some 18Z soundings. So here you can see the main event, and notice this precipitation that's expanding on the northwest side too. This is going to catch the Oklahoma City metro and drop a couple of inches of snow up in Oklahoma City. But you can definitely see the heavier precipitation setting up a little bit further south, southeast of the I-44 corridor, southeast side of the Oklahoma City metro. Definitely some heavier precipitation that's going to stream across southern Oklahoma, northern Texas, into southeastern Oklahoma as well. That's going to be mainly a rain event. This to me looks largely like sleet down near the Seymour area. And we can use some of our dual pole products. And it is a mix, definitely a rain-snow mix down in the Seymour, Monday, Throckmorton area. Certainly getting some sleet across northwest Texas. Looks like mainly snow, though, to the north of Seymour. And someone's going to get maybe a double-digit snowfall here, maybe between Vernon and Seymour up toward Electra with that band of snow into southwest, south central Oklahoma through the Duncan area, Geronimo. Likely we'll get several inches of snow, 6, 7. Someone will probably see 8 inches of snow as well. But it's all sleet to the south of there. Seymour, Monday, Rule, Haskell, Throckmorton. You're getting sleet down there, more of a mixed type of a precipitation. Let's head back to the surface obs. And also a quick rundown of the mesoscale discussions. This one's for moderate to heavy snow, gradually shifting eastward during the afternoon and the early evening hours. Snowfall rates of 1 inch per hour seem likely. Central Illinois through central northern Indiana, southeastern lower Michigan as well. Detroit could be flirting with a foot of snow, and maybe even greater than a foot of snow. That's only happened 13 times in the history, according to the National Weather Service in Detroit. You've had a snowstorm of greater than a foot during a 24-hour period. I wonder if this is going to be number 14 down into southeastern lower Michigan. Time will tell, certainly. But there are definitely some more mesoscale discussions. This one, southern Illinois back into southeastern Missouri. This one is more for ice. Sleet, freezing rain, southern Illinois, down into the Ozarks of south central Missouri as well. Missouri. And sleet and freezing rain will begin early this afternoon. This was for northwest Texas, and it does appear that there could be snow. Maybe that cold air is deep enough, or the warm nose is beginning to erode to the north of Seymour, but it does look like there is some snow starting to fall on the north side of that, at least according to radar, but we might just be missing that transition zone as well. Does look like there is snow, though. Near Frederick, light snow, 1 mile visibility, 27/23. Precipitation starting to move in to Oklahoma City. It is a little bit drier than some of the models we're forecasting, leading to some lower surface temperatures, 26/22 right now in Oklahoma City. That'll moisten up fast. And I think that the main ice storm is going to be down here where it's currently above freezing in southeastern Oklahoma and back into north central Texas. Gainesville, you're just about to drop below freezing, 34/32. To the west of Gainesville, though, it drops down below freezing very quickly. So roads are already starting to deteriorate off to the west. Wichita Falls, back toward Vernon, you're getting more of a period of snow as well. It does seem like this is overdone by the HRRR, but if this happens, this will be a big snow event to the north of Seymour, where it looks like it could be snowing right now. It's possible that that heavy band of snow is going to extrapolate northeast, maybe even Norman. Could get 4, 5, 6 inches from this if that band just grazes the southeast side of Norman before getting dry slotted. So this is 22Z. This is about 4 p.m. It's the forecast for 4. We'll go back to 2 p.m. and you can see that precipitation moving in to southwestern Oklahoma. Looks like it could even start off as snow in Oklahoma City, and right in a narrow swath just on the north side of that band of sleet, there could be an area that could get several inches of snow, possibly near Norman, maybe down toward Duncan, a little bit to the southeast of Norman. But it does look like the HRRR is showing predominantly snow. And we're going to look at the real soundings as well. You look up into Oklahoma City, and this is at 21Z. The HRRR does show that warm nose dropping below the 0Z line. Surface temperature is a lot cooler, drier as well in the low levels. This is your sub-freezing layer that's relatively shallow. This is your warm nose that right now is just above freezing, but it does look like it could drop below freezing and lead to a period of snow and a narrow band of very heavy snow on the southeast metro right through Norman. That's at least is what's being indicated by the 18Z HRRR. That heavy snow band all the way into northwestern Texas as well. And then the ice storm is going to rage to the southeast of there, Ardmore, south of Lawton, back up to the east of Norman on I-40, and eventually that'll move into southeastern Oklahoma as well. This is at 0Z, so if I were covering the ice part of this storm, I would position near Durant. I think that's going to be the maximum accumulation from this second wave in Durant. You can see that the lead wave just started to move out at 0Z over the Missouri Bootheel, but the next round coming in rapidly. Gravity waves coming in from the south. 1Z, you can see that shift over happening. So it might begin as a period of sleet in Norman, but then it's going to change over to snow as you get a little closer to 1Z. You can look at a forecast sounding in Norman. Still has that warm nose just below freezing. I don't think that's going to be prominent enough to have those water droplets falling into the sub-freezing layer and then freezing. Probably be a wet snow, and someone's going to get hammered just to the southeast of Norman, northwest Texas, south central Oklahoma, just to the west of I-35, just southeast of Norman, back toward Duncan, and then to the east of Norman as well on I-40. But all ice, southeastern Oklahoma. Look at that. This is close to midnight, long duration event. Test. Good. I want to make sure my audio is still on. So this is at midnight, definitely showing the ice storm raging across southeastern Oklahoma. Maybe a little bit of a warm nose over the higher terrain, nosing above freezing. Eventually, you're going to shift over to below freezing there as well. And look at this massive ice storm dominating Texas. DFW Metroplex through midnight into the early morning hours, almost all the way down to the Rio Grande, through central and northern Arkansas, southeastern Missouri. That's your main ice storm axis right there. And we can find a textbook freezing rain sounding in Durant. There's your warm nose. That's all above freezing right there. Surface temperature 25 over 22. It's going to be a dangerous, very impactful icing event here from what I'm seeing. And there's also a chance of severe weather across central and southern Mississippi on Thursday. And there's a decent chance that, and that's going to be tomorrow, that maybe I'll wake up early in the morning, head out there and intercept that severe weather with a subtle surface low. But there's your warm nose. Classic freezing rain sounding. This is your zero line. That little area in blue, that blue line is your zero line. And you can see that large area above freezing, saturated as well. Textbook freezing rain sounding. Southeastern Oklahoma, central northern Arkansas, southeastern Missouri, large swath of Texas tonight, all the way down to the Austin area as well on I-35. 9Z. And then you start to get toward daybreak on Thursday. Ice storm continues to rage over southeastern Oklahoma, changing over to a period of snow on the backside. That includes Durant, down to the west of Durant, west to east. Even the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex changes over to a period of snow in the morning hours as that Arctic air mass continues to solidify, driven by that 1045 high over the north central U.S. And then the lead, there's your surface low starting to eject. Very subtle surface low over southwestern Mississippi, but still could be associated with some severe weather. Looking at the dew points, you've got upper 60s dew points into southern Mississippi, southeastern Louisiana. More than sufficient to generate a severe threat. And in fact, those dew points rise during the day, during the afternoon hours. Look at that low-level jet, too, over southern Mississippi. 50 knots there, central southern Mississippi. And if we just cherry pick a random sounding in the Jackson area, that's a big hodograph that you're looking at. That's favorable for tornadoes. That's a lot of 0 to 1 kilometer storm relative felicity, near 300 0 to 1 kilometer SRH. More directional shear than I would have thought when I was looking at this setup last night. More southerly low-level winds, south-southeasterly surface wind, south-southwesterly at 50 knots just above the ground, southwesterly aloft as well. So you do have some directional shear. Decent cape as well, about as decent as you can expect with a positively tilted trough like we do have here. So this is at 17Z, about midday tomorrow for that severe weather threat, shifting up toward the Tuscaloosa area. Decent 0 to 1 kilometer shear near Tuscaloosa, Meridian to Tuscaloosa in that corridor. There's your hodograph, quite a favorable hodograph, and even a little bit of an elevated mix layer. Just at about centered over about 5 kilometers with that sounding. So I think this is probably going to be upgraded to a slight risk. Those are some favorable hodographs here. Low-level jet is about 50 knots. Surface wind about 15 knots out of the due south. About 35 knots of 0 to 1 kilometer bulk shear. And you could definitely see a large area carved out within that hodograph. So this might be chaseable tomorrow. When all eyes are on the ice up there, I'll just roll west to Tuscaloosa and potentially intercept this tornado potential tomorrow. But it does look messy. Meridian up toward Tuscaloosa certainly does look like a messy evolution up there. It's about 18Z. But boy, that looks like some decent supercell storms. Meridian up toward Tuscaloosa. Definitely chaseable. Wow. Definitely seeing some supercell structures. Meridian up toward Tuscaloosa when that happens. Feeding the main wave as it lifts up into the central U.S. So this is looking like some tornado potential could move into western Alabama. That's at 20Z, about 2 to 3 p.m. When that moves along the I-20 corridor, could even drop south to this mode as well into southern Alabama. Yep. So we look at that. This event is definitely not going to chase itself. And you do have some non-zero 0 to 1 kilometer EHIs here. This is a composite index that factors in your surface space instability and your 0 to 1 kilometer shear, storm relative helicity into 1. And you can see the relatively strongly sheared, unstable instability axis, southeastern Mississippi, lifting all the way up north of the I-20 corridor. So this is definitely looking chaseable for me tomorrow. Tornado potential looks legitimate. Wow. So there is your risk area up to Tuscaloosa and Birmingham. That's where the nose goes by 19 to 21Z. And then those storms move into that axis. So this is looking very chaseable and kind of a sleeper tornado setup for the Mid-South. Waiting on the 18ZH 3 kilometer NAM that's coming in. Wow. Very chaseable event. And then it gets pinched off as it approaches the Georgia border. Quick in and out for me. I do think this is going to be upgraded to a slight risk, maybe a 5% tornado probability. Central, southwestern Alabama, back to Meridian to Tuscaloosa looks to be in that zone. So that is my target area for tomorrow. Decent bulk shear. There's your 50 knot. Little speed max out ahead of the main jet as well that could help to initiate those storms. Initiation is not going to be an issue. It's definitely going to be daytime storms tomorrow. There's your wind shear. Central Alabama into southeastern Mississippi. Pretty good wind shear by 20Z. Probably going to have to depart at about 6 a.m. Should be able to get down into the target area in a reasonable hour and then follow that off to the east, dominating. So still let's look at the snow event now across the central US. A lot of things to discuss during this live update. So it does look like the snowfall max is going to be that area that's going to be impacted by both of those waves. And I would say the northern part of the second wave of snow, southern part of the first wave. So right there near Champaign. And I also saw a tweet that in the Champaign-Urbana area, road crews, and that includes plows, are going to be pulled off the road at 6 p.m. until 6 a.m. And that's because of an anticipated reduction in visibility. Just conditions will be too dangerous to be out and about around the Champaign area. So central Illinois into central Indiana, it's going to be a pretty dangerous night tonight as that first wave moves out. A little bit of a break, and then the next wave will move in. Snowfall max that I'm seeing is probably going to be, someone's going to get well over a foot across northern Indiana. Looks like a little bit of a lake effect band being indicated. See if we can capture both waves a little bit more effectively. Yeah. So it does look like Detroit could get several inches of snow from the next wave. And after several inches today, that could be enough to push it just over a foot for the 14th time in the history of Detroit at the National Weather Service. Looks like Indianapolis is going to get a double-digit snowfall total back through southern Illinois. St. Louis is going to get in on the action. southern Missouri as well. And then the ice just to the south of that, right along the Ohio River. There's your big icing event. Nosing into western Kentucky, southern Ohio, big ice as well. But what I have gained from this briefing is just how interesting it looks for tornado potential tomorrow from southeastern Mississippi into central Alabama. So I'm going to be targeting the warm sector, I believe, tomorrow for the potential of tornadoes, that moisture that's going to be fueling this ice storm across the Ohio River Valley. So definitely stay tuned along that I-20 corridor, Meridian up toward Tuscaloosa and Birmingham. Could be a low-end tornado potential during the afternoon tomorrow, about noon to 3 or 4 p.m., maybe even a little bit later than that, could have the potential for those tornadoes. So stay tuned, everybody. The main event is arriving to the Oklahoma City Metro this evening. Never stop chasing.